Welcome back, everyone. As parents, do you ever worry if your child will grow up to be a good person? I know I do. Well, in a world full of negative headlines about people mistreating others, it does make you wonder if we're doing everything that we can to raise kind, caring adults. How can we make the biggest impact on our little ones? We decided to dive into this in Real Talk today with Kara Kinnear, owner of Closet Couture, Miss Amanda Easterlin, and CEO of Theory Communications, Andrea Hamilton. Hi, guys.
Hey, nice to see you again.
So happy to have you here. Okay, first let's talk. I have two girls, 8 and 10. Let's go down the line.
Okay, I have twins, 11-year-old twins, boy, girl, and another little boy that's 10.
It's 10.
And I have a daughter, Ava. She'll be 4 on Friday.
4 on Friday.
Yay. And I have 2 boys, 6 and 3.
6 and 3. I think it's safe to say, well, with you having the oldest here, I'm always looking to my friends with older kids to see, what are they doing right, what advice they can give us. Well, experts say, and this is no surprise, empathy is not a fixed trait, and it actually takes time to develop.
Right.
HuffPost spoke to psychologists, parents, other experts about how to instill empathy in children. Here are just a few of their tips, and I want you guys to weigh in. The first was simply talking about your feelings. This one expert, Michelle Borba, says it's important to promote face-to-face communication in this age of texting, smartphones. She says digital-driven kids aren't necessarily learning real emotions. Yeah, you get the emojis, but let's go back to that face-to-face communication. How do you feel about that?
Yes, I think our kids do need to see our emotions, and then we need to address their emotions and tell them it's okay to feel that way and put a name to it. It's okay to feel frustrated.
Yeah.
It's okay to feel angry, but it's not okay how you acted, or let's talk about appropriate way to
manifest it or process it.
That.
Yes, I agree with that, and I have a problem with that with Caroline because she's now realizing, because of her learning issues, she gets pulled away to take tests. And so she cries out. She's so embarrassed. But I'm like, let's talk about it. And
right.
Tell me what you're feeling. But she'll, outburst the tears. And I'm like, wait. You've got to, that's the thing. And how do we?
It's good to explain it,
right.
to thoroughly explain each feeling with your child. And I know with just my child, she's about to be 4, but even in that age range, she's always on her iPad. I had to actually confiscate it, like not as a punishment, but it was more so a thing like, I want you all to play with your Barbie dolls and go outside and just play like normal children instead of being on YouTube and watching kids play with toys on YouTube.
Oh my gosh.
And like all the kids come over and they're all on their tablets, so it's better for them to interact with each other, because then they can have interactions where they feel excited, happy, upset. Maybe one of them maybe pushed someone, they hurt. How do we explain all of that?
Right.
So I definitely have kind of transitioned into making her have more face-to-face interactions with all the kids around her and with us as well.
Role playing.
Exactly,
The more you are surrounded, the more you know how to handle it later
Right.
on.
Right. But it's hard because it's kind of what we do.
It is. I feel very cognizant too, just having boys, that I would never tell James, like, you're not supposed to. I mean, any of those like stereotypes from way back when. I mean, I want him to cry. I want him to be sensitive. I like encourage it. He's a little too sensitive sometimes. But I really don't have to work with him on expressing himself, because I think, and I'll see how the next one is, because he doesn't seem as sensitive, but we'll see. Sometimes I do think a lot, not empathy per se, but a lot of qualities are just innate in your child. If they're more open, or if they're more emotional, or if they're more sensitive, and that might be easier than to teach them a skill such as empathy.
Right. Exactly. That's a very good point. Yeah, I definitely, you see, and you'll see it too at 4, how they are pretty much, Kate and Caroline, how the emotions that they were displaying at those early ages, they pretty much are where they are today.
Right.
Same person, but how do we make them those caring, compassionate individuals? Well, that's the question. So this second point said to actually highlight, or highlighted in the HuffPost, to use media to our advantage. So this particular author says, discuss instances when characters are being kind and empathetic, as well as hurtful and mean. I find myself doing that when we're watching like movies together, or some of their shows together, right? It's a perfect opportunity, like, wow, she was not nice.
Right.
Why would she act that way?
Right. And how would you have handled
How
those?
would you? Yes.
Exactly.
Yeah. It's not always, sometimes they're like, shh,
Yeah.
Mom, we're trying to watch a show.
Everything's not a learning experience,
I know,
but
right?
you know, you try your hardest to make
try.
everything some type of fun learning experience.
Yes.
Like James loved Daniel Tiger, and he's a very sensitive cat, and, or tiger. And like Isaac doesn't watch it. I'm like, here, watch Daniel Tiger,
Right.
because I need you to be a
Yes.
little bit more.
Right. They're like, Isaac, sit.
Yeah, not that I let my children just watch TV, and that's where they get their lessons from, but it doesn't hurt.
It doesn't.
does.
It doesn't.
Right. It depends,
Children
right.
are sponges, so they soak up
Right.
everything. So, like I said, use everything as a learning experience if you can.
If you can, absolutely. And I love this next one, and I feel like I've been doing this as of late, unfortunately, dealing with hormones and menopause, and maybe sometimes I act a way that I shouldn't. Own up to your own mistakes.
Oh yes.
If you're short with them, or you know, they see you or watch you doing something, you know what, guys, I'm so sorry. There was no reason for me to snap at you like that. I guess I was just worried about you getting a good, whatever, you know, but then they're like, oh, wow.
Right.
Mom was apologizing, being real.
Absolutely, and we talk through it too. Say, how could I have handled that better?
Right.
And they see that we get frustrated too.
Do
Right.
they give you good feedback, Amanda, when you
They
ask?
do.
Like, yeah.
My kids, I've found if I just ask them the question, like how to handle something, they usually, like my son, how to handle frustration. Like he used to throw toys. I'd say, well, how can we, not do that? He'd say, what about if I put my hands in my pocket? I'm like,
That
Okay.
works.
that's a great. So I find a lot of
Yes.
times kids will give you a very great answer of how to correct a problem because they don't seem to have all the different stresses we have. So they
Well,
sometimes
right.
see that
Right.
situation.
My
Right.
daughter's very vocal. She'll tell me, "Mommy, you're being mean," and I'm like,
Oh,
Yeah.
right.
and it's
that's-
like I get taken aback, like, "Oh my goodness, am I?
Yeah.
Let's bring it back. Let's
Right.
sit down. I'm so
Right.
sorry. I apologize." And then I talk about it like I was not being mean. I was being stern. I'm just saying that no, you cannot have a fruit roll up, you know. But
Yes.
but. She always will tell me, or if like her friends, I'm really excited. So my daughter, she's really learning the
That's so
emotions, and
good.
I'm trying my best to just really push them in there and
Right.
constantly show on my end too. But when she says it to me, I'm like, oh my goodness, you identify.
Right, a
that.
little bit of a reality
Wow, I
check.
feel horrible.
No, but I like the way that
Mean.
you put a different spin on that
Yeah.
by saying, actually, I'm trying to be stern.
Right.
I'm sorry if you thought I was being
Right.
mean, but I really was just looking out for your best interest. But man, she's a little precocious thing.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yes.
I was like,
Yes.
you're like, yes, indeed. Okay, another suggestion. Oh, of course, make sure that you acknowledge their acts of kindness. So, always reinforcing that, the good grades. I don't even think so much it's about grades or athletic achievement.
Right.
I just find I try to do that more with the way that they are. If I see them on a play date and I observe something, to acknowledge that.
Right.
We had a
Exactly.
jar that was called the unsolicited compliment jar, and they get little
that.
pom poms, little puff pom poms, and the more they got, they got to treat themselves to a gift, and it was so exciting because not only would my kids get into it, but the person that gave me the unsolicited compliment, I would tell them, I'd say, "You were like my," they'd be like, "Oh my goodness," and they felt like they were a part of it
Yes.
too. So it was just an all in all good
I need
feeling.
to steal that idea.
Yeah.
It is.
know.
It worked.
Good.
It has
Good.
worked really well. And now my kids even tell me when they see one of their siblings doing something. Like Lily came home the other day telling me how Carr was nice to a kid on the bus that had dropped his backpack. And so I'm like, you get a treat.
Yes,
You know?
Right. That's
and I
nice.
love
That's
that
good.
because you're reinforcing them again in this world where we can find negativity any second of any day. But the fact that we're making sure that they're looking around for those hopeful moments
Right.
where people are being their best selves, I think that's
Absolutely.
great. Another suggestion is they talk about just look around, even in today's abrasive, angry, violent culture, all of these acts of kindness, we should point them out. So not just what they're doing right, but also, did you see that? Or, how amazing, Mommy threw a baby shower for Miss Kara. Even though Kara said, I'm sorry, Kara.
We're still there.
I'm still there, Kara.
Get a glimpse
He knows how
behind
to
the
do
curtain.
stuff like
Right.
But make sure that you open it up and that we're pointing that out as well. Like what's happening in the outside world, not just
Yeah.
what's happening in their world. Did
I
you
just
see
think it
that?
works better for kids to, like I said, thoroughly explain things. Like we never did baby talk in my house, so like everything was like explained like an adult, and so
Good.
by
Didn't either.
explaining what's going on in the outside world and pointing things out that helps them identify because they soak everything in. So it's just important to make everything a learning experience.
Right, and children are good, right? Like I have to be aware now too of like having the national news on because of all the
Yes.
stuff that's on. And so, but it's interesting because if I forget to turn it off, what James gravitates toward is that happy story at the end, and he will like he'll be doing something else, and then he'll kind of like look up and comment on it, and I'm like, that is really telling because
Yes.
I think their little brains can't even comprehend a lot of the other stuff, but they
I
know
hope
when
not.
somebody's being kind and good.
Exactly.
You know?
That's fine. Whatever it is, it triggers, whether it's a word or even the way, the expression
Might
of
even be
somebody's
body language.
Body
Yeah.
language, puppies,
they-
babies.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, that all makes me so happy. You guys make me happy. Thank you
Yes,
so
thank
much.
you.
And happy
Thank you.
Mother's Day.
Happy Mother's
Thank
Day.
you.
I'll
You
see you
too.
guys before then.